Okay, so today we are reading The Possum That Didn't by Frank Tashlin. Once upon a time, not so long ago, in a forest not so far away, there lived a possum. He was a happy little possum who always wore a great big smile. He would smile when the sun was shining. He would smile when the moon was shining. Just, happy boy. He would smile when nothing was shining. He would smile too as he climbed up a tall tree that had a long overhanging branch. When he reached the branch, he would wrap his long tail ever so tightly around it. And then, there he is, went up the tree. And then he would hang upside down by his tail, just like all possums do. He would hang like this for days, just smiling and smiling, and then smiling some more. He was the happiest, smiliest, hangiest possum in the whole forest. One day, some people approached the tree. They had been on a picnic and were on their way back to the city. "Oh, dear me," one of the women said. "Look at that possum hanging there. Doesn't he look unhappy?" The possum answered, "I am not unhappy. In fact, I am very happy. That is why I am smiling." "No, you're not. You're not smiling," one of the men said, pointing at the possum's face. "Your mouth isn't smiling." "Yes, it is," the possum said. "I am smiling." The people moved away from the tree and whispered, "He isn't smiling." The man said, "Anyone can see that the corners of his mouth turn down instead of up." The other man said, "He's just a stupid possum. Who thinks he's smiling when he isn't?" "But I feel sorry for him," one of the women said. "He looks so unhappy. Let's take him to the city. That'll make him happy, and then he will smile." "Possum," the man said, "we have decided to do something very nice for you." "Thank you," the possum answered. "You're very kind." "Come down from that tree," the man said. "We are going to take you to the city to make you smile and be happy." "Oh, please don't bother," the possum said. "I'm happy here where I am, and I know I'm smiling, so you must be mistaken." There he is, just, vibing out, having a good time. "How dare you say that we are mistaken?" the man shouted angrily. "You're not a smiley, smiley possum. You're a stupidly, stupidly possum who thinks he's smiling when he isn't." The possum said, "But I am smiling." The people left and came back later with more people. They took the possum's tree right out of the ground and left for the city. When they reached the city, they drove straight into a theater, which is all the way over here. "We are taking you to see a movie," the man said. "Everyone smiles when they see a movie, and you will smile too." "But I am smiling," the possum said. "You're not a smiley, smiley possum," the people told him. "You're a stupidly, stupidly possum who thinks he's smiling when he isn't." All in line to see the movie. So they took him into the movie. After the movie was over, the people looked up at the possum. "He still isn't smiling," they said. "I enjoyed the movie," the possum said. "I thought the story was very good, and I am smiling." "You're not a smiley, smiley possum," the people told him. "You're a stupidly, stupidly possum who thinks he's smiling when he isn't." Then the man said, "We will take you on to a nightclub. Everyone smiles when they go to a nightclub, and you will smile too." So they took him to a nightclub. Oh God, this poor little possum is on his way to the nightclub. There he is, all the way up there, all the way at the tippy top, while everyone else is frowning and sad. After they left the nightclub, the people looked up at the possum. "He still isn't smiling," they said. Now they became furious and walked around the tree, shaking their fists at the possum. "Stupidly, stupidly, possum," he shouted. "We are going to make you smile if it takes forever." The possum just hung there. He didn't say a thing. He looked down at the people below, and he thought about them. He thought about all the people he had seen in the city. The more he thought about them, the sadder and the sadder he became, until he was very sad. "Look, look, look," the people shouted, pointing at the possum's mouth. "They have made the possum smile." Crowds came running from all directions. They cheered and cheered the people who had made the possum smile. They had their pictures in all the papers because they had made the possum smile. They spoke over the radio and told everyone how they made the possum smile. The mayor of the city and the governor of the state gave them medals when they heard how they made the possum smile. Lots of medals. They became very famous. And all over here you can see their pictures on all of the billboards. But the possum was where they had left him. Sadly, he climbed down from his tall tree and started walking back to the forest. As he crossed the wide street, he heard music in the distance. Look at him, so upset. Such a good boy, though. It was a big parade in honor of the people who had made the possum smile. The possum could barely get across the street in time. The horses in the big parade almost trampled on him. The marching men almost stepped on him. Here he is. And the big automobile almost ran over him. He pulled his tail out from under the wheel just in time. Look how scary. That night, the possum huddled close beside a large ash can. He was still sad, thinking about all the people he had seen. All night he stayed there, crying softly to himself. In the morning, still crying, he started home. He walked and walked. Days later, he saw the tall trees of the forest. He was home, but he was unhappy. He felt that he would never smile again. He got a very sad boy. But suddenly, he did smile. He smiled when the sun was shining. He smiled when the moon was shining. He smiled when nothing was shining. And for the rest of his life, he was a smiley, smiley possum, because he knew that everything that had happened to him must have been a dream. He was sure it had been a dream, for nowhere could there really be people like the people he had seen. And it was a dream, wasn't it? And there's our little boy, all happy again. And that's the end.